Let's move on to the next item on our agenda. That's the Chief Financial Officer's report. Tim?
Yeah, revenue during February was $3.8 million, primarily due to the fact that property taxes were due March 1st. Property taxes accounted for $3.3 million of that. The other significant item that we received in revenue during the month of February was quarterly payments on our special education and transportation reimbursements. They total about $200,000. For the first 8 months, our operating revenue is 65% of budget. That percentage is going to jump significantly in March when we receive another large amount of revenue that's coming in from property taxes. Operating expenditures for the month were $1.7 million, and for the first 8 months, we're at 68% of budget. The operating fund balances at the end of February were $10.2 million. There were several questions on the financial statements. One had to do on page 91. Vehicle repairs were significantly over budget there. Those are repairs that we have on the minibuses that we operate, and we just have had a year where we've had a significant amount of expenditures. It's just one of those years where it's higher than budget. Some years it comes in under
We
budget.
have a lot of accidents. That's what
We've had a couple.
people led to believe there.
Yes, we've had a couple.
Deer.
One hit a deer, and that we had to have front end work done, and the other was with the roof. We had to have the strobe light replaced on the roof and some of the roof repaired.
Tim, did you skip your RFP calendar?
No, I was going to come to that after this question.
Okay.
On page 96, which is IMRF expenditures, there was a question on whether or not we include those expenditures with regard to the cost for summer school, so that we're cost neutral. We haven't in the past, but that is something we should be doing, and we'll do it this year. And the final question had to do with Fund 90 architectural expenses with $64,000 for the month. Put us about $32,000 over budget on that. The budget that was set up this year was the architectural expenses for the summer of 2016 projects that we did. I did not include architectural expenses for the 2017 work that was going to be done. So that was billed early by the architect, and we had to pay that. So it's just a shift in a sense from one year to another. It's not going to impact the overall.
I think the oversight was in that the architects are doing, even though the work's not happening until June, July, August, and those bills won't come due until our next budget cycle. The architect work is going on now.
We forgot the budget for.
That was
Right.
And I did put in the report just some information on the RFPs that we're going out for. One that I didn't mention in there is one that I'm going to actually be meeting tomorrow with Joel Hatchie regarding an RFP on the clock and the intercom system that we have to put in here. But the other two main ones that are come to the board have to do with the minibuses.
48.
That'll come to the board at the April 26th COW, and that's one that'll go out next week for bid. And then the athletic and field trip transportation, which will be a little bit later, that'll come to the board at the May 24th COW.
And we still can't include this other miscellaneous transportation like the cabs or whatever we pay for, do an RFP on that.
The ones we're still, you're talking about the ones we're splitting with other schools for the homeless students?
Yeah, or all those kind, I mean, that's really.
I think we are doing, I think we
Adding
did
up.
do an RFP on that, but I'm not sure if it went through us or another school district, because we're sharing the cost. I thought we were using the same cab company because we had to have the background checks and stuff.
Yeah, I can take a look at that. I mean, a lot of those cases, you're transporting 1 or 2 children, you know,
Those are for
living
placements.
in some suburb, and they are allowed to come here because they're homeless.
Let's focus on a couple of things with the RFP and the clock and the intercom so that the board's aware. This isn't something that was on our, when I had Tim give you RFP contracts coming up in January of what's going to be coming to bid. So we've been Band-Aiding and masking tape through this intercom clock system. Is significantly old. It was not replaced when all the renovations and stuff were completed. And the most recent thing that's been happening is that the bells and intercoms have been going out of service throughout the school day. The one thing that has not been impacted, knock on wood, has been our call buttons for emergency purposes, so that's been working, correct, Kristen?
Correct.
But your bells have been going out and your clocks have been, your intercom system has been going out, correct?
Correct.
And on top of all that, the head end room where this is all located, I think Mr. Walsh was here, I'm not sure if any other board members were here, was about a year or two where we had a major roof leak in that room too. So that didn't help either. But so this is something the board may need to consider. Do we take out of our working cash or our construction capital improvements, because it is a capital improvement. We got 3 or 4 quotes already, and they're from anywhere between 30 and 90. So we're putting it out to bid to see what's apples to apples and exactly what we need. And we had Kristen and her staff generate a list so that they laid out the essentials, the needs, and the wants. So we, make sure it has all the needs accomplished, covered first, and then anything after to see where the cost management could be implemented. But this is something that is starting to become a priority, because it's kind of hard to run school when all of a sudden the bells aren't working. Some kids are dismissing on their own, some kids aren't, and you can't make an announcement to say, everybody go to the next period. So we then kind of have security running throughout.
Did we had Carrie look at, see if this could qualify under life safety?
I will check, but I will see if that could be added as an amendment to life safety, but I'm not sure. The other thing that me and Tim talked about, give me a second. The other thing Tim and I talked about briefly today is right now we have 2 minibuses, and that lease is up, and we're looking for the RFP on that. But the cost analysis I want to do with Tim and Mr. Triber, Mr. Doman in athletics is, are there opportunities for when we can be using minibuses instead of yellow buses? And the cost for a yellow bus, when you have to pay for a driver and the bus and then the driver to sit there with, if there's some opportunities to where we could use some of the minibuses on more of an occasion, it might be more cost effective for the district to lease 3 minibuses or 4 minibuses instead of 2, and save us on the end of the purchasing of the transportation when we rent yellow buses. So we're going to look at that. It might be a moot point, and 2 might be just the right number, but that's one of the cost saving things we're trying to look at with the transportation as well.
All right, any questions for Tim on this side? Mike, do you have any questions? I don't hear anything, I say no. How about on this side? All right, thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.